Hello everybody, welcome to episode 6 of the Gold Extraction. Some changes, another experimental change for this episode. Of course, in my recent 2 videos, I discussed my refined house rules, where basically there is no fighting die, so that will be removed. And I will explain here in a second. Let's remove that from both character sheets. And so is shooting. Those basically fall back on strength and agility instead. Defense is now the combination of parry and toughness. Defense is calculated by taking half of your agility and vigor, adding those together. 2 is not considered. Armor, of course, stacks, or is included in that equation. Charisma is off the sheet here. I never really used charisma, so I took that off. Of course, charisma is not included as a derived statistic in Suede, which I am not using. I'm using older versions of Savage Worlds. And for combat, when using a melee weapon, you roll your strength and the weapon die together. If it's equal to or greater than the opponent's defense, 0 through 3, it counts as a shaken. 4, every raise is a hit, is a wound. That remains the same. But I combined the attack and damage roll together. So a lot of this is obviously similar to D&D. You have one mechanic to represent your defense, and attacking with a melee weapon is strength. Shooting is now tied to agility plus the weapon die. Makes things slightly quicker, even though, again, Savage Worlds is a relatively simple system. I just wanted to experiment with my house rules. The only catch here is the wild die is actually rolled with the attack. So, for example, before we jump into our adventure here in episode 6, when I attack with Jax's shotgun, that's technically shooting. So shooting, his agility is D6. The wild die is only applicable for any trait roll. That is a trait, or I should say an attribute, instead, not a trait. So the wild die is rolled with that D6. The weapon die is 2d6, not 3d6. I downgraded to 2d6 because it is included with the agility. So I basically roll 4d6s. And because the d6s are similar to the trait, the attribute die, the wild die can replace any of the lowest rolls, just in this circumstance. But it has to be a die similar to the attribute. That's something I might replace in my house rules. Again, this is all experimental, so I could replace the wild die with a damage roll. We can figure that out later. But, for example, I can replace this one here with the 2. So he did 12 damage. And if the defense of the opponent was 6, that's obviously 1 raise, thus a wound. Well, 6, 12, yes, 10. Okay, so that's how basically attacking works. All right. I also found this cool little Oracle dice. It says yes, no, yay, nay, in doubt, try again later, for certain, stuff like that. I'm going to use that for this episode. It's more chaotic. There's really no probability I can apply with this roll. I want to see how it turns out. Okay, so we have my house rule sheet nearby, and I almost forgot, experience works like a bank account. You can spend it, you don't incur it. You can incur it, but when you spend it, it obviously gets depleted. So I hit 5 experience, which is the amount you can use to get a new edge, plus 1d skill, plus 1d2 skills if less than the linked attribute. Buy a new skill, a d4. 20 experience points to increase 1d attribute. For Jax, I gave him stealth at 1d4. Just wanted him to have that. So, no whiteboard for this one. We are working with a minimalistic approach here for this episode as an experiment. I have the 3 locations that we've technically discovered or know about. The landing zone, which was the very first episode, was right here. That is in this grassed field. We call that LZ. It's the landing zone. Now, 8H is that hidden bunker that was in the mountain. I'm calling it the Apex Depot. It's no longer be called Depot 3. That will just be the new lore name for that. 5N is up here, this little plus sign. That is our target. That's the Arclight Research Facility. We have to get there before Team Brute, who is on the bottom left of the screen. That's Brute right here. He's a merc. Our 2 characters are on the right side. We have Jax and Keera. Now, in this episode, I will use my old traditional macro approach to roleplay. So it's less on the roleplay, more on the mechanics, dice rolling, and exploration. Got my dice up here. Let's begin. So we are in tile currently 8H. That is the Apex Depot. We just left. There's that hologram that's been deactivated. We're back in the chasm. We're back in the chasm. What's it called? The trail. The surrounded by the mountainous terrain. It's cold. So we are going to travel northeast. This is a hex crawl, but obviously I don't have a hex sheet. I have this grid here. It's this small square, not a very big area. It's not a large region. It's a small area. So we're going to travel to this square here, which is 7I. Let's roll to see. Let's ask the Oracle. A lot of Oracle questions for this episode. Is this a continuation of the mountainous region? Let's roll. Nay, it is not, so it's going to be a lake. So let's draw some water here. It's going to be a lake. We are on the edge of the lake, looking around. Do we encounter anything in this lake? Remember, there's mutated creatures in the area, and I am working on applying this setting to the Red Nova series, very loosely based, obviously. There's no relation or correlation between the Red Nova one-shot or this one. These are totally different people, different circumstances, different scenarios, but I can see it fit in the world of Red Nova. Post-apocalyptic, post-nuclear war, humanity is spread apart, spread out throughout the lands, and life is scarce. So, do we encounter anything in this square? Oh, it is indeed certain. Okay, well, since we're in around a lake, we encounter, well, the lake is frozen. So it's happened before where the creatures would burst out of the ice and strike the nearest living creature. So we encounter, for certain meaning, I believe there's 2 creatures in this case. So let me gather 2 dice to represent 2 creatures. Obviously, there's really no map here that we'll be using. This will be theater of the mind. So we have these 2 creatures. They're both D6s. We have our characters here. I have we have Jax, which is this here. This is Jax. This is going to be Keera. This is Water Creature 1 and Water Creature 2. They're both D6s, meaning they have a defense of, let's say, 5, so minus the highest potential roll, and 6 is their highest potential, 2d6 is their highest potential amount of damage possible. Okay, what we're going to do is roll the 2d6, including the wild die, to see who goes first. Okay, obviously the enemies will go first. The threat that surprises our team or necessarily just appears. So this one will go first and attack our Jax. Jax defense is 10, so This is a roll of a 2d6. These are extras, so they go down to 1 wound. Oh, okay, so we have an ace. Let's roll another d6. That's going to be a total of... This is everything. This is their attack and damage. We have 6, 10, 13. That's one... That's a shaken for Jax. And then let's not forget our Benny pool of Nuka-Cola caps, which actually fits with this environment. So he's shaken. Next is going to be this other water creature attacking Keera. And that's going to be 2d6. Her defense is less at 6. And luckily, that's a miss. Strikes, parry. All right, now it's our turn. We have Jax here. We can do a spirit roll, or as a commenter pointed out in an earlier video, I made a mistake. I can simply spend a Benny to lose that shaking condition. So thank you to that commenter. Let's go back in the poker chip collection. And now Jax is up to bat against the water creature. We have his choice of weapon, which is shotgun. So this will be our first time using the new house rules I have implied. His agility is a d6, and his shotgun is additional 2d6s. Let's not forget, we have the wild die. That's a lot of dice. So we're going for... Let's make an adjustment here. I'm going to up the defense of these two to 6. I believe that's just fair. All right, so we have 5 no aces, 4 and 3. The wild die is not included because it's less than any of these dice on the field. All right, so that's 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 over 6 is basically 1 raise. So, which means we defeat one of these water creatures. Next is going to be Keera. She strikes this remaining water creature. And what she has is the Derringer. It's been her choice of weapon also. That's going to be her agility of a d8, which is superior to Jax. And then a d6 for the weapon itself, plus 1, based on the sheet. Also the wild die. So we're shooting for 6. All right, not bad. No aces. So, like I said earlier, my wild die can only replace the attribute die. Earlier I was thinking about, can it replace the weapon die? I don't know yet. I'm still experimenting. For now, I'm going to keep it off the table. Only have it being able to replace the attribute die. This is still a good roll. 8, 9, that is a shaken condition over 6. 1 short of a wound, but it is still shaken. Now, I can't forget, the GM has 2 Nuka caps here, bennies for the characters, for the extras, and it's now the extra's turn. Will the extra spend, this water creature, will they spend a Benny to lose the shaken? In doubt, they're not sure. They want to save it for later. So what they're going to do is we're going to do a spirit check. If they fail, they lose that action. Target number is obviously 4. Oh, success. Okay. So they lose the shaken. Good call on not spending that Benny. Now, the creature is going to attack. Are they going to attack Jax? No, they're going to attack Keera. I really like that Oracle die. Okay, Keera is going to be attacked here. And Keera is this one. This is a 2d6 roll against a defense of 6. 4, that's a miss. Okay, Jax is up to bat. He's going to strike the water creature. And that will be his shotgun. That is the 2d6, as I mentioned. And the d6 of his agility, plus the wild die, so 46. Okay, so the wild die can indeed replace one of these 2s. And now it is going to be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And that was a shaken over the 6. I believe I forgot to consider the +1 for the Derringer, but too late now. So, the creature is shaken. It's now Keera's turn. Let's not forget that +1, shall we? So, Wild Die, her agility, which is I almost grabbed the Oracle because it is a D8, technically. And then the D6 for the weapon itself, +1. Okay, so we can replace the attribute die here. That's 5, 4. And then +1, that's 5, that's 10. Thus, that's a wound. Erase, the creature is defeated. We have killed both of these water creatures, and now these can go back off the table. So, we are still in 7I, and we just dealt with some creatures, some water creatures. Now, we're going to travel east to 7J, which is right here. Is this a continuation of the lake? Let's roll for it. Try later. That is... we're going to try that again. Yes, it is. Okay. But maybe it's just... Let me pause the video for a second. Okay, I made the lake a little more round, not that square. So, while we're in this new tile, do we encounter anything? It is certain once again we encounter. Now, question is, do we encounter creatures? Let's see. Yay or nay? We do. All right. Looks like just a lower ranging creature, a tier 1 creature? Yep, it is. So that's a yes, it's a lower range creature. Okay, so back to another conflict, another combat. We have Jax and Keera. Remember, all creatures in this area are they are threats. They do attack. There is no hesitation, and we're not focusing too great on the details. So these two, well, let's see, is there one or two? I'm sorry, is there going to be more than one? Yes, there is. Okay, so there's 2 creatures, but they're D4s because they were not, based on that earlier roll, not any more difficult. So we have 2 tier 1 creatures. They are land-based creatures. They're not part of the lake. So we're going to roll combat, and we do the 3d6. Ooh, okay, well, anyways, I don't really ace. There's really no reason to ace. Consider acing for just an encounter, the turn roll. So we clearly go first on that victory, on that roll. Now, okay, Jax is going after the first creature here, this one here. He's going to use, he's actually wants to punch, so he's going to use his brass knuckles. This is strength plus D4 in the wild die. So the D4 is going to be right here. And then, let's see, the 5 can replace the D6, which was his trait roll, his strength. Oh, actually, no. His strength was not a D6. It's actually a D8. My mistake. Okay, let's see here. 2. All right, well, still replaces it. So the wild die is considered, plus the D4. That's going to be 3. That's 6, 7, 8. That's 4 over the toughness of toughness. Defense of 4. Remember, tier 1's a D4, so defense of 4. That's 1 raise. Easily kills the first land-based creature. Now it is going to be Keera's turn. She is going to use her switchblade. Want to keep things close and personal. Her switchblade is her strength of a D4, so not too impressive, and a D4 itself for the weapon. But obviously there is that weapon die. So 2D4 and the D6. Luckily, the 4 can replace one of these D4s, and that's 5. That's 1 over, thus the creature is shaken at this moment. And now the creature's turn has to do a spirit roll. Will the creature spend a Benny? In doubt. That's obviously a no. So this will be a D4 roll for the creature. for a spirit check. 1, it's failed, so it can't act. Back to Jax. He's going to attack, this time with his pump action shotgun. Let's do an ammo check. Let's see if he actually has ammo. I'm thinking 50% chance he does. Oh, he's out. Click, click. There is no ammo. So he's out of shells. I have to put a note here. Let's see. Big letters O-U-T. He's out. Exclamation mark. All right, he's out of ammo for shotgun. So I'll put a little line just through the shotgun. There we go. And he's like, shoot. So he's going to... Can he do a second action? If we really follow the rules here to an extent, I'm going to say it will be a -1 penalty because he tried to shoot, but now he's going to use his brass knuckles. So click, click. No ammo. No shotgun shells. And the brass knuckles will be a strength, which is a D8. He probably just should have stuck with that in the first place. The wild die and the D4 for the actual weapon itself. And now we roll for it. And the D6 is going to replace the D8 plus 2. That is 8. And that's easily over the defense of 4, thus defeating this creature. And now the team is back to exploration. They're on their way. So we just dealt with a monster here. Now we're going to tile 7K. And 7K doesn't have more forest. In doubt. Okay, we are reaching the plains. So I'm going to put a little grass here. Do we encounter anything in this tile? Let's roll again on camera. Ask again later. Okay, well, I believe that is going to be a what do you call it? A detour to our trusty one-page mythic. So if we ever get in doubt or ask again later, I'm going to use the mythic, but it's mainly just for the exploration rules. So let's move these out of the way. Okay, let's get our D100s and see what exactly do we encounter. This is going to be 30. We encounter feeble, 2 descriptors, not actions. Feeble, clean. Okay. We encounter something, a snowmobile in this tile for some reason. And I'm thinking the snowmobile looks abandoned. But it's clean, meaning it was recently abandoned. I think that we have intercepted or crossed paths once again with Team Brute. But is Team Brute present? Perhaps they went that scenic route, and now they're back crossing our path. Is Team Brute nearby? This could be chaotic. Nay, they're not. Okay, so this snowmobile, perhaps, did they run out of fuel? In doubt. Basically our team is thinking, Team Brute, most likely they're prepared. They have the resources because they've been hired by the Scorpion Group or the Scorpion Company. They have most likely more fuel. But why would one of the snowmobiles be sitting right here? Now, it's going to be very late. So we see one snowmobile, meaning this one snowmobile, the 2, because they had, remember, there's 3 of them, there's 3 members of this Merc group, but there's 2 snowmobiles. So Brute rode his own, which was obviously probably a better model, bigger, and the 2 other minions, Mercs, rode a standard snowmobile, but were able to fit 2 people. So this snowmobile, no role required for the Oracle. It is indeed the one that belongs to the Mercs, the 2. So they're looking around, so we're going to do a notice roll for both Jax and Keera. Remember, they have their night vision goggles. They've been kind of wearing that casually since this one-shot started. The notice roll for both characters are a D6, so we're going to do a group roll and 2 wild die. Actually, let's do this. Let's do 1 roll per. So this is for Jax. Okay, that's success. Okay, and then for Keera, 5, success. Okay, so they both see footprints going, 2 sets of footprints going from the snowmobile east, and there is a cave. But do they see the other snowmobile? They're currently distracted by the sets of footprints going towards the cave. For some reason, Brutes is not nearby. They're looking around. Jax has her shotgun handy. Keera has her... She doesn't have her tablet anymore. That's destroyed because of, again, bad writing, whoever wrote this. And she's looking around too. They don't see Brute. They don't see his much larger snowmobile. So Jax, I should say maybe Keera more so fits into this next action. She will loot the snowmobile because it has side compartments or underneath the seat. And does she find anything of value? Not just knickknacks. Okay, she does. That's a basic yes, she does. For certain would have been something even great. So she finds something of some good value. And let me draw from our Dungeon Degenerates collection. Right here. Might be in the other pocket. Yep, there it is. So, equipment. There it is. One moment while I look for the correct cards. I'm not able to locate... Oh, you know what? My mistake. Okay, it's right here. Sorry about that. Okay, she finds one item. This. Oh, a bow. That's great. Well, crossbow. She finds a crossbow. I like that. It's just sitting underneath the seat. And the crossbow in Savage Worlds, let's check the sheets, is going to, I'm assuming 2d6 something. 2d6. Let's see. Armors, hand weapons, ranged weapons. Crossbow is 2d6, 15, 30, 60. That makes sense to me. 2d6, 15, 30, 60. But for my house rules, that's going to be AGI plus a d6 based on my rules. So she finds a crossbow. And the interesting thing that's happening in the moment is why is Brute not nearby? Where the hell is he at? Okay, that we can figure out later. More so, why did the footprints of the two mercs go into this cave? So the team sneaks up to the cave. We'll do stealth, 2 stealth rolls, because I'm wondering if they are nearby. You know, let's ask the Oracle. Are they nearby? Or is stealth required here? This is a question for the GM. Oracle-based. Yep, stealth is required here. Okay, we'll do that. So D4 for stealth. I did buy that for him. And then we have a stealth for our D6, Keera. Let's roll hers first. 4 is the target number. We have exploding ace. And that's going to be 9. That's 1 raise. We'll keep that there. But for Jax, stealth is not his specialty, but he's able to succeed. 5, so he succeeds. That's a basic success. She gets a raise. So they both sneak up to the cave successfully. No trouble. But she, with the raise of 9 over 4 at 8, she hears voices coming from inside the cave and a light source, like a flickering light. Could be a lantern, a torch, etc. And they both hide on the entrance side, one person per side of the cave. So we got Jax here, and then we have Keera here. Now, Jax right now is not worried about Arclight Research Facility. This is kind of per the mission, because remember, Brood is out here at the same time, coincidentally, as our team has been paid here to retrieve the item. So this does kind of relate to the mission. And as they both stand there outside, the mercs are coming back out, and our team is waiting at the entry. And as they walk out, our team, let me grab the dice here. They're both D6s, I believe. They leave the entrance and they go behind them and say, arms up or hands up. So, are they holding anything? I think if they're leaving this cave, they grabbed something. And right now, Keera has her Derringer, because a crossbow doesn't have a higher stat than the Derringer. Crossbow, it's just more of her greed. She likes to steal, so was on her. Are they holding anything? I believe most likely they are, but I can't decide. They're not. Okay, so it's just them. They have their weapons on the sides, but they're not holding a box or anything. I was kind of assuming they would, but they don't. Remember, this Oracle dice I'm experimenting with doesn't have a probability modifier for consideration. They're both hands up, but this will be, let's see, no roll required because they sneak up. Jax says turn around. They both turn around. And do they recognize Jax or Keera? They don't. They have no idea who we are. That's good. That's kind of assumed too. These are minions. These are no-name extras. Jax says, "Where's Brute?" They know where Brute is. I'm not going to ask. They say, "We're not going to tell you anything." And Jax is going to intimidate, which I'm surprised is a D4, but I'm going to give it a shot anyways. Keera doesn't have a intimidation. Oh, okay, so let's spend a Benny to recap that. Re-roll it. Okay, good. Thankfully we did. So, it's just a success. One of them, if those arrays have been, both of them, maybe a specific location. So Jax asks, "Where is Brute?" And one of them says the following. I need some context here. So let's grab the Oracle. What does one of them reveal about Brute? 68. He is currently move. That makes sense. Move. 5 for descriptor. Bleak. Oh. Timing. Bleak. Let me do one more roll. 4. No, not beautiful. 55 perhaps. Mechanical. Move mechanical. Oh. Okay. So it's something to do with his snowmobile. Perhaps. Brute is en route to retrieve a care package. That move mechanical. Okay, so he's out to retrieve a care package. These two just left this cave for some reason. Keera, being the tech savvy one that she is, and she's curious, she asked, "What's in the cave?" Remember, they both have their guns pointed. Do they reveal anything about the cave? This might be a roll, but she doesn't have intimidation. She'll try. D4 minus 2, obviously the penalty. It's an unskilled roll. Oh, wow, they both ace. That's incredible. Okay, so let's both roll an ace for a D4 and a D6. That's a hell of a roll. And 5, the highest one. That's another ace on the D4. Okay, I need to get a D4 from red. Wow, so we have 11 here, 8, 9. Okay, so the wild dice beat the roll. 11 is going to be 1 raise over the roll. All right, so her gun is pointed straight to one of their heads. Jax probably has. Oh, darn! I should have had a group assist on that one, so +1 for that roll. You know what? Let's consider it +1. Jax has the shotgun aimed at this one, and she has the gun aimed at this one. So +1, that's 12. That will give 2 raises. Thus, I'm going to give her a Benny for that. And basically, they reveal that this is another abandoned government site in the mountain. It's a cave. And Keera, smile across her face like the Joker, turns around and can smell the tech, just, metaphorically speaking. So she's like, really? Jax looks to Keera. He says, Keera, don't do anything stupid yet. When she gets a little greedy, she turns around. This guy quickly jumps, but because we had the 2 raises, Jax is going to open fire. I will let him do without rolling, open fire at this first individual, this merc jumping, going for the weapon of Keera, because they're probably close enough. So that shotgun will be the, oh, that's right, he's out of, oh my gosh. He's out of ammo. You know, I realize he's been bluffing this whole time. Okay, so my own mistake in roleplay led to him unintentionally bluffing this whole time. I love it. That's perfect. Okay, so he's been bluffing. He takes his shotgun. He flips around. He's going to bash the one that's attacking or going after Keera because she's distracted. He's risking it. This other one still has his hands up. He's nervous. Doesn't want to do anything based on that earlier intimidation. So this will be, let's say, a strength, and the butt of the shotgun could be a D6 damage. I see that as fit. And then this will be a strength roll, which is a D8. So altogether, we're looking at 2 D6s and a D8. Their defense is 6, by the way. And the one oh no, the one is not considered. Okay, this will be it's a 6. All right, so he's shaken. This is a shot at the face of this merc. He falls back onto the snow, cupping his face in pain. This other merc quickly pulls out his gun and is going to open fire. Thus, we're in combat. So let's roll for initiative as he spends his action pre-combat pulling out his weapon. So wild die and rolling 3d6. Oh, they ace, so they go first. Okay, well that makes sense. You know, they pulled his gun out. He's gonna open fire at, of course, Jax. This will be 2d6. They're extra, so they don't have a wild die, and they take 1 wound. 5 is short of the easy 10 defense of Jax. Thus, now it is this merc's turn. He does a spirit roll. 5 is a success, so that's going to lose his shaken. And now, but that's the action. So it's Keera turns back around, and it's back to Jax. He's going to go up to this merc who fired at him earlier, and he's going to use. He's in close range combat. He has no ammo, so it's down to the brass knuckles. I hope there is ammo in the cave. So this will be a D8 with the strength. The wild die is a D6. And the D4 of the actual weapon itself, which is the brass knuckles. We're scrapping, we're shooting for the 6, and the 4 replaces the D8. Thus, that's going to be 6 shaking condition now for this other merc. Now, Keera is going after, with her, they're very close. I don't think they're going to be using guns right now. She's going to go after this merc right here. Let's move it a little higher up in the camera so you guys can see it. There we go. And this will be, oh, you know what? Yeah. She's going to use her switchblade, which will be her strength die, which is the measly D4. Another D4, which is somewhere on my table here. There it is. And the wild die. 5, that can replace either D4. 3, that's 6, 7, 8. Oh, yeah, 6, 7, 8. That is, no, that's defense of 6. That's a shaken, so they're both shaken now. Okay, back to the mercs. This merc has to do a defense, a spirit check. Success, he loses the shaking condition. Whoops. And he automatically becomes a tier 4. And this other merc, 3, fail. He's still shaken. All right, so back to Jax. He's going to attack with his brass knuckles. Strength, the wild die, which is a D4. I'm sorry, the strength is a D8. And D4 for the brass knuckles, and the wild die for the weapon. And this will be the D4. The wild die is not applicable. And that's a 6, which is another shaken for this. Once again, he's shaken. Okay. Then she is going to attack the current shaken, the original, prior shaken, merc, which will be her switchblade. Strength, the wild die, D4, and another D4. Okay. That's going to be, well, die doesn't apply. 6. Okay, that's 2 shakens, thus this guy is killed. So we take out one of the mercs. And now it's back to the merc. He does a spirit check. 1 fail. Jax is going in for the kill. He has a wild die. He has a brass knuckle strength and a d4. So rolling for his brass knuckles. Ooh, 7, not bad, but the wild die is not necessary. Thus, we have 10. That's easily over 6. He's already shaken, so that's another wound. All right, so we have successfully killed both of Brute's minions. Thus, he is alone, as far as we know. Brute is on his own. Okay, so we just killed both of them. Did they have any loot on them? Let's see. Nay, they did not, which does make sense. You know what? I will let them take their weapons, but let's say ammo for just generic ammo. It's not necessarily shotguns or anything, shotgun shells. I'm not really that specific on ammo, but he gets his ammo back because they did technically have guns. I'll let that narrative component apply. All right, so they are off the table here. They killed both of them, and they're going to drag their bodies to the side, cover them in snow off the side, and they're going to enter the cave. Keera runs in there. Maybe not runs in there. She turns around and walks into the cave. Jax says he's going to stand near the entrance inside. Keep watch. He says, make it quick. This is not going to bode well. So I'm trying to think if how Jax would react here. Again, I'm trying to maintain a minimalistic roleplay in this episode. So Jax is telling Keera, make it quick, based on what happened last time. She kind of mutters to herself, can't make any promises. So that's where we're going to end this episode. This was actually, you know what, to be honest with you, I really enjoyed this minimalistic approach to roleplay. It was quick, fast. We encountered creatures. We had several combat rounds. And I really did enjoy my house rules for this. So I hope you guys did too. And as always, I'll give the experience points because in my rules, my house rules, 1 XP per session, 2 XP per milestone, which they killed a couple minions, so that's not really a milestone per se. 5 for world-changing, impact. They save the region from a nuclear bomb or something, which doesn't exactly, again, seem like a lot for 5. Could be 10, but anyways, they will both get 1. So Jax is now back up to 5 because he spent 1 earlier for. You know what? Actually, he's to 1. I forgot. It's 5 experience points to buy a skill, but she is up to 6 now. There you go. So that's it for episode 6, and I will see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching.